Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you for tuning in. This is actually my very first video in a really long time. I haven't been posting in God knows how long. I've been pretty busy and I'm a little bit nervous because I'm hoping that I still get the hang of like making videos and stuff, but I'm super happy as well because I really missed making videos. So today the book that I'm going to be reviewing is a book by a British Nigerian author who goes by the name of Nikki May, and the name of the book is Wahala. So what is the story about? So Wahala is actually set in London in the UK for the most part, although there are quite a few flashbacks of the characters' lives when they were children living in Nigeria, and I think it was more precisely Lagos. And yeah, it's centered around three best friends so they're all biracial women, and they're all in different stages in their lives. So for one, you have Boo, who is married with a child, and on the outside looking in, it could seem like she's having a life that a lot of people would want, but she is actually struggling with a bit of an identity crisis because she feels like she has lost herself within her role of being a mom and a wife. Then you also have Simi. Simi is also married, and her husband thinks that they are trying to have a child, but the truth is that Simi is really not trying to have a baby because she has career aspirations, and she's also dealing with, you know, a bit of imposter syndrome with her work setting, and she hasn't been completely honest with her husband about the fact that she's not really trying to have a child. So this is what she's been struggling with. And then you have Ronke. Ronke is actually also doing well financially and career-wise as well. But her dream is that she wants to become a mom and have children. And be married as well. But the truth is that she's been struggling to find somebody to do that with. She has a few she has a few unfulfilled and failed relationship under her belt. And at the moment in the book when we meet her, she is dating a guy that likes her and she likes him, but he's not quite there yet in terms of the commitment that she's looking for in order to get into the next step in her life. So basically that's the profile of the main three characters. And then there is a new girl. Her name is Isabel. This is somebody that Simi has known from way back when, who comes back into her life. And this woman inserts herself into the tight-knit circle of three best friends that they are. And as soon as she comes into the circle, she intervenes into all of their lives, and then a lot of problems seems to be happening after that. Hence the title of the book, Wahala. So to make it short, it's really three best friends who have their little crew of friends, and then there's this fourth person who comes in, and a lot of trouble seems to happen after she comes in. So the book was a lot of fun to read. I really enjoyed it. I laughed quite a lot. So for one, I think one of the coolest things about the book for me was that it gives you a bit of a glimpse of a Nigerian culture, especially Nigerians living in London, and I thought that it was pretty cool. And I love that the way that it was written, it didn't feel too heavy, because sometimes I feel like when I've noticed in the past couple of years that when I read books about characters who have different cultures and different backgrounds, sometimes authors spend way too much time explaining it that it feels like you're almost reading like a Wikipedia page or like a research paper almost, and because you're sort of losing sight of the plot, there's too much explanation going on. But I didn't feel like it was that way with that book. I just feel like it flows well into the story, and I feel that if you don't know anything about Nigeria or Nigerian culture, then you get a little bit of a glimpse. But if you are Nigerian, then you just get to read about something that you're familiar with, which is also a lot of fun. But yeah, you get to learn a little bit about how they interact with each other, what they wear, how they party, how they interact with each other, and also about the food that they eat. Speaking of the food, at the end of the book, there's actually like a few recipes that are available for us, the reader, and those are meals that have been mentioned throughout the book. And so yeah, I mean, if you like to cook, you can try to cook those meals. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I'm gonna try to cook those because I'm a bit lazy. But if you are like a 6'3", handsome, rich Nigerian man and you want to come and cook for me, by all means you can slide in my DMs. But since I know this is not gonna happen, I think I'm just gonna go to like a restaurant and try it out because I'm really curious about those meals actually. So yeah, that was actually pretty cool. Another thing that I liked about the book, which I know is going to sound a little bit random, but I like that the three main characters are biracial, because I feel like, me personally, I don't think I've read that many books about biracial characters, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to think. I really don't think I have. And, because society tends to see biracial people as Black, I do think that there are layers of their experiences that are a bit overlooked, right? Because at the end of the day, like, even if you identify as Black, as a biracial person, there is something a bit unique about having two parents of different races and different ethnicities, right? And I think that sometimes we forget that sometimes biracial people can have different experiences too. So in the book, what I thought was cool is that, you know, there's a bit of a contrast about the way that they experience their lives, right? So Boo is the one who seems to be struggling more with her Blackness and her Nigerian side. She doesn't seem to be very familiar with it. She doesn't seem to be fully comfortable with it, right? But on the other side, you have Ronke and Simi, who seem to be much more comfortable with it, right? And I do think that this happens also in real life. You know, there are biracial people who, again, are super comfortable with their Blackness and their Black side, but then there are other biracial people who are not as comfortable. You know, think about the people who were mostly raised by their white families and haven't been in that much contact with the Black side of their families. I can imagine how it could be a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. So I thought that it was kind of cool to get to read about that, because it reminds you that, you know, the Black experience and the biracial experience, if you will, is not something that's uniform. I think there's many ways in which you can experience that part of your life. One thing that I didn't enjoy as much though in the book is that I feel like the Black male characters could have been portrayed in a more positive light, right? Because you have, Ronke, she's the one who dates exclusively Black, but she's also the one who seems to get the short end of the stick. She's the one who's having a hard time finding somebody that commits to her, while the two other husbands are super nice and caring and loving. So I just wish that maybe there was a bit more layers to the way that Black men were portrayed in the book, right? So it's nothing that's to the extreme where they're all stereotypes and they're all like thugs shooting each other and that kind of thing. That's not what the author wrote. Like, it's nothing that's that problematic, but it's something that I did notice, and I just wish that, you know, Black men had a more positive light. I think that maybe one character is a bit more layered. The other ones, I just wished it was a bit more positive. I do think that the book is actually really funny, and some of the layers of the humor, I do think that you can enjoy even more if you are West African or Nigerian, because, you know, I think that there's some things that you can understand a little bit better if you actually understand the culture. But overall, I really do think that you can get a good laugh when you read this book. So the thriller element of the book, I do think it was quite minimal. So the book was a page turner for me, but it was a page turner because I wanted to know what happened next, because it was so much drama going on, but not so much because it gives me like thriller vibes, right? So I feel like the thriller element is mostly towards the end. But the end was very unexpected and very nicely done. Like, the book really finishes like with a boom. So I really, really like it. So underneath all of the drama though, I do think that there is something that I found quite relatable. And it's the fact that sometimes we can be blinded to the things that are happening to us, right? Because when we read the book, as the reader, it's pretty obvious that there's something off about Isabel, because she is way too nice, way too available, way too resourceful. Like, there's something that feels a little bit off about her, and it's very obvious for you as the reader. But two of the characters don't seem to be suspicious of her at all. They seem to be completely blinded to it by it. And I do think it's a bit of a reflection of real life, because sometimes when, you know, people who are no good for you come into our lives, for us come into our lives, we don't really see it right away, and other people who are looking at us can see it as clear as day, but for us, we're completely blinded by it. And it's only after the fact, after everything happens, after everything unfolds, and we're like, oh my God, how did I not see that? So I think that that felt quite relatable about the book. So as I said earlier, the book is told from the perspective of the three main characters. And I have to say, I didn't fall in love with the characters, and I particularly disliked Boo. But it didn't matter to me that I didn't like her at all when I read her parts, because although I did really, again, I would never be friends with somebody like that. But I loved to read about her interaction with her husband and her daughter. So they were kind of cute. I really liked them. Her husband is a bit stupid, but still, I still liked him. And I really liked her daughter, although she was a bit of a brat, a little bit sassy. But they were pretty cool. Boo was just so stuck up, but her family, she had a cute little family. And for the other characters, I really like to read about Simi's interactions with her family. I know that she was struggling with certain things, but for me, like, it kind of made me laugh because I could relate with some of the family members that she has. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to say too much about the story, but Simi's perspective was pretty cool to read as well. And Ronke's perspective, I like to read about her perspective because she's the one that you're going to find yourself rooting for the most. But sometimes you do wish that she had a bit more of a backbone, you know? She's a bit too nice and too kind to the people that don't really deserve it. So which leads me to my next point, which is that friendship is a theme that you see throughout the book. So because again, it's centered around the three best friends. And I found it quite interesting because some people who read the book said that they really enjoyed the bond that they have with each other. But for me, I just felt like, yo, these friends are very toxic for one another. Like, these are not good friends. They should not be friends. And so I felt like if you know, some of the things that are happening, if some of my best friends would do that to me, I don't think I would be speaking to them today. So I do think that the book can give a great discussion about friendships, and you can have some debates about who is who, and who is nice and who's not nice, and who's right and who's not right. So yeah, I like that the book shows a very flawed group of friends, and because I think it can lead to discussions and debates, which is something that you really want in a book as well. So yeah, overall I thought it was a really fun book. I definitely give it like 4 stars. It was very fun to read, very amusing, a bit of definitely a page turner. Even if I didn't personally fall in love with the characters, I fell in love with what happened to them because I really wanted to know what's next. And so that was a very good book, and this is actually a book that's going to turn into a series, and so I'm really looking forward to see what it looks like on TV. But with that said, that's pretty much it for my review. I really hope you enjoyed. I'm happy to be back. If you like my content, don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and I will see you for my next video. Have a great day.